Testing, testing, testing. Okay. Let me turn on my audio here. Hopefully this is decent in terms of the sound. I don't want to make it too loud. I'm not really sure how loud it is. Let me just get the link for everything. Hopefully my face looks all right now. The lighting is kind of weird, so I mean, I wonder. Let's see. I guess it's portrait mode, which looks better. This is not portrait. This almost looks the same to me. Oh, it's because it has nothing enabled. Portrait. Yeah, I'm not really even noticing it. Oh, I guess portrait is blur. Studio light is, I guess, maybe what I'm looking for. So studio light. No studio light. What am I preferring? Maybe a little bit, halfway through. Okay. And let's make sure I can get the chat up. All right. All right, I have the chat open. Let me ping everybody now. At dev notifs at stream notifs. Oh, here, let me turn off my scene here for a second. All right, I'm back. Hopefully you can still see me. All right, so the audio may or may not be too loud. I'd appreciate if it is too loud. If the music is too loud, please let me know so I can fix it. But yeah, let's get right into it. Today we are going to be working on Hyperion again. Hyperion is my little personal project, which is, and here I need to sign in to everything. Give me 1 second, but it's my little personal project. I'm trying to get the world record for the largest PvP battle in any game ever. And I figured out Minecraft is a really good way to do this. And the reason it is good is because it's really hard to get 10,000 players. I think the problem is much more in getting those players than it is having a playable game. And, you know, every other person's played Minecraft, every other person has an account, and they're familiar with the base controls. So it's easy to implement Minecraft, at least to some extent, the basic features enough for a PvP battle. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. You can see right here, here's a little screenshot. And this is, I believe, 5,000 players in one world. Every single dot here is a player. I just want to zoom in and kind of show you the full extent. Like they go, I think these are even players over here. I'm not completely sure, but I'm pretty sure these are players. Yeah, I mean, they look like players to me. And this is only looking in one direction. So imagine this is going in all directions here. Just like an absolute crazy number of players. And again, this is 5,000 and we will be having 10,000 to beat the world record of 8,825. So there's going to be a lot, and they're going to be maybe a little bit more spread out from this. The calculation is if I have a 2,000 by 2,000 map, each player will be in a radius of 10 on average from the next nearest player, and that's with chessboard radius. So that means that like they're within like a square that has that has a length of 21. I believe, yes, 21, where it's like centered on that player. on average, that's going to be, how close players are to each other. So, yeah, we are going to be using Antithesis here, which I am just getting started with. And honestly, I am not sure I'm going to be able to get all set up in this live stream, but I want to at least start trying this out here. What's really nice about Antithesis is it allows us to, test our distributed system, do property tests, but also do so in a much more efficient way. And the example they gave is that if you have a certain event that only happens 1 out of 1,000 times, and then you have another event that depends on that will only happen 1 out of 1,000 times, you multiply the probabilities together. You have 1 over 1,000 times 1 over 1,000 to get the second event, and that's going to be 1 over a million, and that's going to take a lot of cycles. What would be more ideal is if each state could be checkpointed, and you could say, here's the state that was super improbable to get to, but we can checkpoint here, so we can test. Like these 1,000 options from this checkpointed state. And in this case, instead of having to do a million iterations, we'll only have to do 1,000 plus 1,000, so 2,000. And the way they do this is they have their own little like deterministic checkpointing system for any like Dockerized containers, where you can save the state and then you can start based on whichever state you checkpointed. I'm sure they can do a lot better job explaining this than I can. I'm still pretty green to this. In fact, I'm actually very green. But I mean, it looks like a pretty great platform, and I have been given the privilege of actually trying it out. So yeah, I'm really excited and hyped. I think the first thing we're going to need to do is we are going to need to actually create a bot that can be used as like the fuzzing mechanism. So we'll have our server. Our server won't really have randomness involved. It will just be a way to process events. And I guess in this case, events are packets. So these packets, though, are going to be generated from, randomness. And I say randomness because in reality, it's going to be, my guess is something like a genetic algorithm that is, looking at which packets are going to, get more coverage in certain areas of the server, just to try to, test all possible branches to see if the server is going to crash. I think Antithesis can also be used for performance. So say if somebody were able to do a DOS attack, which is, there's a lot of different ways you can take down a server like that. One really simple way, if you don't have this checked, is if you are sending a packet that's compressed, and it's compressed to, I don't know, let's just say it's like only 100 bytes, but it's using, what is it, like length prefixed encoding, where you say, hey, there's like 1 trillion, like 1 bytes or something. So when you actually uncompress your packet that a player has sent, it will be an out of memory error, which is not amazing. And there's a lot of things like that I could see this helping. I guess an out of memory would be an actual error, so you'd be able to test it pretty easily with Antithesis. But there's also other issues, like, there's things that don't outright crash the server, but would probably cause it to be less performant. And that's not ideal either. But I think, I want to start with just seeing what is going to make the server crash, and then go from there and test some hypotheses. Again, I've never really played around with this, so I think we can do a lot more powerful stuff. We can they have something called sometimes assert, I believe, which is just a way that you can assert that it helps with the whole like code coverage thing, to make sure that you're getting input such that an assert will get called at least once during code execution. So I could see, like, I'm trying to think exactly how I would do this. I mean, you could see, like, like you want to sometimes assert that a packet is at least like a super large size that should get denied. You want to like sometimes assert that, you know, these kind of exceptional behaviors have occurred at least once in your system, to validate that you know, Antithesis has actually run sufficiently to detect the bugs that you want to detect. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. Again, I think the first thing I'm going to start with is making this bot. There is this whole this whole Rust MC. Actually, do I even have it here? I think I have it somewhere. MC bot. Okay, I need to actually clone this. Rust MC bot. Yeah, so there's this Rust MC bot thing. Actually, no, I renamed this. I renamed this to... Did I rename this to Antithesis bot? The prop... I think I might have renamed it to prop test MC bot, yeah. So this is the fork of the bot made by... let's see if he's somewhere in the Discord. The thing is, I pronounce these names in my head all the time, so it's very hard for me to actually say it out loud. Hennemasi 22. I don't really know how to pronounce this, but he made this wonderful bot for testing, for stress testing your server. It's nice because it supports Unix sockets as well as TCP, which can be nice. Right now I'm testing on a Mac, and it seems like Macs have issues with TCP sockets over like a certain bandwidth. If you just have, you know, like 1,000, 5,000 TCP sockets, I get issues where it just seems like the system can't handle that, and like the traffic just doesn't send fast enough. Now, I'm not completely sure about why all of this is, but I think it's something related to just like the system can't handle the throughput, and the CPU usage will decrease for the program, but like it's the CPU usage isn't actually monitoring like system resources, and the system resources are just getting clogged. Now, Linux doesn't really have this issue, at least the Linux server that one of the people who's developing Hyperion tested with. He was able to get 10,000 players just fine. But yeah, for me, I've had to use Unix sockets. But anyway, this code is like very, I think this was one of his first Rust programs he ever made. And while I think it's like pretty optimized from what I understand, the code is also pretty, I would personally say that there are a lot of things in the code that are not ideal. He would agree with this. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before. So I'm considering just remaking this from scratch, but I don't want to sink too much time into this. Because I mean, ultimately, like, tech debt is all right, but I think I'm going to add so many things anyway. Oh, I'm trying to figure out what I should do. I think, let me think of like the general architecture first a little bit. So, and I wish I had a second camera for like a whiteboard, but our bot produces a bunch of packets. So we have our bot. And here, maybe I can even change can I change the presenter overlay? What is this gonna look like? Okay, so now this is like the opposite potentially. I don't know if OBS is, oh, it is showing it correctly. Interesting. So, there we go. Yeah, basically we have a bunch of packets. So our bot is really just kind of a generator for all of these packets. And I guess it's also taking input from the server. So it's like getting its state. But is this really even relevant? Like if it has a form of feedback, or if it's literally just like an open loop generator, we're just generating packets and it's not really caring. I'm just trying to think. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think like position packets, like if the server's teleporting the bot around and stuff, you know, this could be an instance where we would want to absolutely be reading the packets. For writing the packets, let me just look at like WikiVG for a second. This is where the Minecraft protocol is actually documented. So I'm going to go to 1.20.1. A lot of this stuff is reverse engineered. Most of this stuff is correct. However, there are usually just a couple mistakes. But again, this is a massive page. This is just, again, from like reverse engineered. Now Mojang actually releases their mappings for their Java code, not for their Bedrock code, which is their C++ code base that's used on PlayStation, Xbox, Windows machines. But the mappings for these for the Java edition are public, although the licensing for them is not amazing. So these don't use those mappings. So there's alternative community-made mappings as well. Again, I do not know the extent of, I'm not a lawyer. I would not go to me if you are doing anything with mappings. I would go to a lawyer if you are concerned about licensing matters. Okay, so here let's see all client to server packets. Is that it is going to be client bound, server bound. Okay, so confirm teleportation, change. This is server bound. There's a server bound change difficulty packet. Okay, so I see. Like, it requires an op level. I mean, I think these packets like could be useful to just send. But with low frequency, I'm thinking. Because a lot of these aren't going to be used a lot of these aren't really going to do much stuff at all. Yeah. Here, I'm just gonna post this also in here. Let me post this. Also, I just want to go like this here. Okay, cool. So let's see. Let me get the URL for the YouTube video. I believe. Yeah, here we go. And here, I need to change back to my other presenter overlay. There we go. Here, let me paste this here. Okay, so we have to figure out which packets we're going to be sending. Again, most of these are probably not going to be super important. But let me make a list. So, let's make a list. So, important packets, let's call this. Important packets, txt, sure. Okay, so what do we have? We have, again, confirm teleportation. Here, I'm just gonna go like this since it looks like we can't really select it. Confirm teleportation. I think this is useful because we would be able to, we're able to test, like if we do not confirm the teleportation, let's just say like server will kicks us, right? Or something like that. Something like this. If it is, because I think this is basically going to be a giant state machine that just says, that has like random transition values, random. Okay, so query block entity tag. What is this? F3I is pressed for looking at a block. Yeah, so I honestly don't know what in the world that's doing. Message acknowledgement. Yeah, I don't know what that is. There's the chat command. So I think chat command is definitely going to be big. Oops. So there's going to be a few things that we're going to test here. So I think like make sure if we are out of bounds is not received. And this is a chat command. So timestamp, salt, all these things. The signature that verifies the argument. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we could also make sure that, like, if we are not right salt, perhaps the salt for the following argument signatures. Yeah, so maybe we should say like not right signature. Okay, that's gonna be what we're gonna test. Chat message. Yeah, we did that. Player session. The time the play session expires. And this is sent. This is. I just want to double check. This is sent all to the server. It's all server bound. This seems weird. That this whole, wherever it is, the whole player session is server bound. Because you're basically saying the time your own play session expires in milliseconds. But I think it's signed. It looks like it might be signed. So, again, I don't actually think we need to worry about this. I think, so I just want to go over to our little architecture diagram right here. The way that we do this is that we have our game server in the center here. And then we're talking to all of these proxies, Hyperion proxies. These are different than something like a bungee cord velocity traditional proxy because they have a lot of logic behind them for this thing I like to call regional multicasting. So like if you want to send all packets to, or if you want to send a certain packet to all players within a certain region, you just have to send one packet now to the proxy, and the proxy will figure out which players it should be sent to. So the proxies are doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to IO stuff. But we have a secondary proxy. We have this velocity proxy, which is, it's a Java Minecraft proxy that's very popular. It works with VIA version. And VIA version is a packet translation layer. So it will take packets that are for, say, like version, let's just say I'm in version 1.21 and I want to join the server that I have right now, which is 1.20.1. VIA version will do the packet translation so that players from mostly any version should be able to join. Now there are exceptions. The way it does this also is through, it just does like a linear pipeline where it will translate, let's just say it changes, a packet changes over 5 versions. It will translate from, if you're going from version 1 to 5, it would go from version 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Which can be inefficient sometimes, but it is fine because this is horizontally scaled. All this stuff is horizontally scaled, and we don't really care. But anyway, I think Velocity will also be handling the authentication. So I don't know if we even really care about this stuff. Let's see. Client information. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these packets, like we could just spam like random data that's in the constraints and just make sure that the server isn't going to crash. Now, I think a lot of the times you'd want the client to get kicked. Like if it's sending invalid data, but it might not matter even. Like we just don't, ultimately in any situation, there's no situation where the server should crash, period. The client being disconnected may or may not be fine. But then there are some situations where the client should not get disconnected. So how are we going to test that? Like maybe we could have clients that are both in like valid states and invalid states. And if a client is tracked to always be in a valid state, so like all of the random values it makes it all in valid states, we should know that it should never be disconnected. Whereas if we get valid and invalid states, then it is like questionable whether it should be disconnected. And maybe like sometimes we don't know. So maybe there's like the invalid but not kick, and then there's the invalid should kick packet. So like a good example would be would be like when we're sending things with like a string longer than 16, when these are bounded. Let's go back up to the packet list again. It's a server bound. I'm just trying to think if there's any that, you know, I absolutely should consider. There's interact, jigsaw, generate. We could also have some logic here where, so I actually don't know what this is. Generate is, see, these new things in Minecraft are just so confusing to me. Jigsaw blocks are technical blocks used as a way to construct large structures from smaller sections. Okay, I think I've like seen this briefly. Yeah, I think like interact could be interesting too. We could say like if we are mining a block and it's like out of range, then we should always get it, or we always should not get it. And maybe we should be, I don't know if we should be kicked from the server or we should be warned. Like we could have a threshold potentially too, where it's like if we send an invalid packet and it has been like an invalid packet that must kick the client, and it has been more than 100 milliseconds, let's say, then it should have been disconnected. Okay, yeah, I mean, there's just so many packets in here. I think we can just kind of start playing around. Again, I think this is going to be mostly a state machine. But I think part of this is just going to be playing around, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. Because to be honest, I do not really know the details. I'm just going to post this in here as well. And then I'm going to be done spamming people, because I don't want to spam people too much, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to put this in here. If you are interested in watching my stream. Okay, cool. And yeah, that's done. I don't want to put it in anywhere else. But yeah, cool. All right, so now it's going to be the grind time. I think the way that I want to do a lot of these things is I was told in the Antithesis Discord that the way that we want to do things is through, instead of like a random byte slice, we want more like a random byte stream. And so we want like we want essentially like an iterator of random values, and to construct values from that, rather than having to be provided ahead of time a slice. So prop test, the crate does the first one, quick test does the second one. So we're going to be looking at quick test. They have these things called arbitrary, so we can generate arbitrary strings of a certain length. But I'm not sure we're even going to want to use this either. And here, let's see, somebody is messaging me, it looks like. I'm not gonna read that. If you wanna message me on YouTube, I will read it in the live stream. I do not want to be checking Discord. But yeah, you're welcome to message in YouTube chat for the live stream. Okay, so it has this g.size thing. So size seems weird to me. Let me actually open this up. I'm gonna mark this as red because this is annoying me. If I open up quick check here, and look for this size thing, what is it gonna be? So that returns the size configured with this generator. So size parameter controls the size of random values generated. For example, it specifies the maximum length of a randomly generated vector, but is and should not be used to control the range of a randomly generated number, unless that number is used to control the size of a data structure. Okay, so I see. Cool. I mean, that is cool that you can set the size. Yeah, I'm just thinking exactly how I want to do this. Okay. Yeah, let's make a new crate here. So let's do it in Hyperion. I have all of this stuff that I think I just want to get rid of for now. I think I can just stash a lot of this stuff. Actually, did I add game to expand? So game to expand is actually kind of nice. You know, I'm just gonna add this stuff and I'm gonna stash this. Okay, cool. So what we're going to want to do is let's call it Hyperion bot. And I can go in here and we have our little Hyperion bot somewhere. And then in dependencies, we want our little Antithesis SDK. This is defined on the workspace. And let's make sure that we can actually, or it is not defined on the workspace. I just imagined that. And then I believe this might be the version that has antithesis range, which is what we want to do all of these benches. I think the other thing that I want to do here, so let me just make sure. Antithesis, okay, so this has everything we want. I haven't really done this, so this might not work too well, but since we're focusing in on the bot, I might just try to open this subdirectory here. And then what in here, let's just make sure that we get auto completion into this range. Okay, so it looks like we are all nice and happy here. So the first thing that we're going to want to have the bot do, and let's just make this super simple right now. So we just have like one, let's use Tokayo as well. Let's just have it just be like one bot to start out with. No oddities, and let's try to have it join the server. And then we're probably going to want to get the extra configuration values from the environment, from an end file. So let's create this thing called config, and let me also open cursor in the same directory. And the really cool thing that I've done with Cursor, which I think is great for certain things, is I have made it so files will sync. So you see I'm here, and then I go to lib, and hopefully it looks like this doesn't work now. But if we, or it looks like it's just connected. I think it just needed to wait to connect, or not. Let me try to type something and see if that works. Okay. Yeah, see, it looks like it's working now. Cool. So yeah, we are going to make this config. So config, I'm just gonna lower my table, but it's a little bit high up. Struct config. Could do bot name. We're gonna log in offline mode, so some of these things don't really matter that much. Let's use like the proper UUID crate, and I think we can get. Oh, that's really nice that we can access parent directories, even though we don't have it open. So UUID, I want to make sure that this is UUID. Oh, it's okay. So let's actually open the parent directory for a second. Here, if you go all the way up here, we have UUID. I just want to get this auto completion here. So features equals 30. And then I think we're also going to be wanting to add, is it called env? 30 library or env variables. Or no, env is for loading.env files, I think. Sturdy env file, build-to-top.env, the env. Okay, it looks like env is the one that they recommended first. So let's try to add that env, and let's see if there needs to be a sturdy feature. Yeah, I don't see any features, so I think it automatically has sturdy implemented into it. And I think we can just go like this. So, oh, that's quick check. We don't care about that anymore. Okay. Oh, that's prop test. I do not know what I'm doing right now, unfortunately. Ah, I see. Okay, so we're gonna want to go back here. Let's use env, and then in here we should be able to do our little sturdy thing. Again, I think we're just gonna need to deserialize this. Sturdy. So let's add sturdy. .workspace equals true. I believe I have it with the target deserialize already. I'm not completely 100% sure. Okay. Is there anything else? We have the bot name. We have the bot UUID. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, actually, I don't even know if we want these to be configured by a .env file, because I think these might be part of like the fuzzing, as we might want to test the bot names, the bot UUIDs. I think we also might want to test if like there's multiple bots joining with like the same name, but different UUIDs, or like the same UUID but different names. Like we could get a lot of interesting scenarios here, and I'm not going to lie, I am a little bit confused how we're gonna assert these things. Because like if we have a, like we could assert how many players are going to be in the world. Are we just going to be doing a Are we just going to be doing like a ping request or something? Or do we want to have some shared memory involved here? Like for this, I think you could have a ping request. You know, you could say, hey, if I have 2 players joining with the same name but different UIDs, that's possible, and they should always be able to join. If they are different names with the same UID, it should always be a 1. But then how am I gonna like wait? How am I gonna wait for this? I know there's the really good article that says time is not a synchronization primitive, especially in this case where you're like resuming like a virtual where you're resuming like a virtual machine or container. I don't really know the details of it, but I feel like time could be really messed up. Where like, let's just say you're recording time, and then I'm trying to think. Yeah, because you could be recording time. I think that the delay is going to. This is Hyperion. Yes, I am working on Hyperion. So right now, Ben, I am actually doing something with Antithesis here. So this is a way that I can fuzz a distributed system. And what this allows us to do is make a bot that gives a bunch of packets, and we can verify that like the bot will never be able to crash the server, that there's a lot of constraints which are going to, some invariants which are going to be upheld. So this is going to be super useful. It's also better than just naive fuzzing. And this is really powerful because it allows you to checkpoint throughout your runtime. So say you get a really, say you get a state that is very uncommon. It's a very special state. You can actually checkpoint at that. So instead of having to like re-get to that state every time, which might be kind of a random occurrence, again, you can like checkpoint there and then do events from that, which is going to be a lot more efficient, and allow you to hopefully, you know, fuzz your whole software a lot better. Let me put on some more music. How's the music volume sounding? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? What am I going to play? I think my favorite, I love this Chris Luno guy. He's one of my favorite DJs for just working. I really need to see him live sometime. This is one of my favorite mixes by him, by the way. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out here. So let's not care about this. I think really the configuration variable here is going to be like max number of bots. I think that's really going to be the only configuration value we care about. So, and then we're going to need a main. I think the way we're going to do this is we are going to say like bootstrap config. And then we can just go like this. Awesome. So I'm going to make my main.rs, and the reason I'm making this into a lib.rs is because it's very possible that in the future we might want to combine this so that we have a single binary that is running everything, right? So Antithesis sounds cool. Interesting approach. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Hopefully I have good luck with it. I'm really happy that I have access to it right now. Yeah, and it will be interesting to see where this goes. So I should be able to just do bootstrap. I need to reload this. And I can do bootstrap, and then config equals, was it env? From env. Let's also use error, I think it's called. I think it's this. This is like anyhow. It's made by the person who made anyhow, but it is more powerful in terms of customization, in terms of having errors that are human readable. And I want that. So this is going to return an error result. And then we're going to do wrap error. And then okay. So let's just try to run this. This should error because I don't think we have the right environmental variables. I'm just gonna move my face a little bit. Is it drop in for anyhow? Almost. So they actually have this thing called, I'll give you an example where it both is and isn't. So if I have an option string, it has different, it's opinionated a little bit differently. So let's just say X is a value we get, and anyhow we can do just context on it. And we can do this just fine in error. But you see it has this whole compat trait. And if you look at this, it will tell you, here, let me just make this a little bit larger here. It says, here, let me make it like quite a bit larger, just so everybody here who doesn't have a crazy monitor can see. So why doesn't error implement wrap error for option? Error doesn't implement wrap error for option because wrap error implies that you're creating a new error that saves the previous error as its source. Calling wrap error on an option is meaningless because there's no source error. Anyhow avoids this issue by using a different mental model where you're adding context to an error. Though this not a mental model, is this even English? You're adding context to an error. Though this not a mental model for error handling, I think they are missing an is there. Though this is not a mental model for error handling that error agrees with. Instead, error encourages users to think of each error as distinct, where the previous error is the context being saved by the new error, which is backwards compared to anyhow's model. In this model, you're encouraged to use combinators provided by stood for option to convert an option to a result. So yeah, you're recommended to use this okay or else. So yeah, like again, it's made by the same guys anyhow, which is tonally, I have no idea how to pronounce this name honestly, but to answer, yes, you can just swap it in, but they recommend you actually changing when you're doing this to be something like what would it be? I like map or else, I think is what they recommend doing. So you do something like this, roughly. Oh, that's a report. It's roughly right. I forgot exactly what they were recommending. Seems nice, to be honest. Yes, I think it's kind of like the de facto way that you should be doing things now. I mean, especially since it's made by the same guy. Like, but also it might be lying a little bit because there are some things that are made by the same people where you should probably still use the older version. I really think Node and Deno are a good example of this, where Deno obviously improves upon Node in a lot of areas, but it probably makes sense to use Node for now, unless you really want to be okay or else. Yeah, okay or else is the... Oh, and there's even this X okay or... Is this option? Is this recommended or no? Oh, for... I see. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so anyway, it is basically drop-in replacement. Now if we add max number of bots, if we add a .env, max number of bots equals, let's say 10. Is this going to work now? It's probably not going to read the .env. Yeah, so I think, and even if we made this lowercase, yeah, because I think it's case insensitive. At least that's the standard. Now let's look what we would use to actually, what is the Rust create to read .env files? I think it's like .env or something. .env, I think it's the standard, yeah. It used to be .env, but it's whoever was using .env disappeared, I think. env.workspace equals true. I'm also not too certain that this is actually even going to be in the workspace. Yeah, so let's open this again. .env, and then let's actually use the proper version. I doubt this completed version is going to be what we want here. Or it is? I don't know. I don't know how it knew that. Unless it's just been the same version forever. Okay, I miss Cargo so much. Yes, so are you not doing things in Cargo? Which language are you using, Ben? CMake and Git modules just doesn't come close to Cargo. Yeah, so I have not used them enough. I've heard people who love them. I've heard people who hate them. I feel like if you are a company and you are doing a bunch of custom things, maybe CMake plus Git modules can be fine, especially since you're often like customizing things so much. I don't know. C++, yeah. Like I feel like, yeah, I've heard people who really like it, just because I think Git modules, from what I understand, it's like pretty easy to, if you have like a fork with a branch, to have a Git module pointing to that fork. But I guess you can do the same thing with Cargo too. So yeah, I am kind of confused what the benefit would be there. But yeah, I know people love Cargo. I mean, I love Cargo, personally speaking. I'm not sure this should necessarily be an error. I think it should be like this, because it is not an error if a end file is missing. Yeah. So let's look at this. And this has a destructor, and it does not want us to use this. It says also, yeah, okay. It says Bennington unused to avoid immediately dropping the value. But I'm confused, like, consider immediately dropping the value, okay. I'm actually confused what this destructor is going to be. Okay. I think it's just saying it's a path buff, and a path buff has a destructor to deallocate. Yeah, Cargo, so Ben is saying, yeah, Cargo has the Git option when specifying a dependency, so I'm not sure of the love of Git modules compared to Cargo either. Yeah, honestly, the person who I talk to really loves C, so it just goes to Beck eventually. It's like is gonna have its drop here probably. Yeah, right. So like, it is saying that I can drop early, because if I just had this underscore, it's gonna wait until the very end, or maybe not. I think actually it is saying it will do so immediately, but we want to be explicit. Now I want to see if this is, I want to see if this is like suggested, or if this is, like pedantic, because this just seems kind of weird to drop that, but yeah, this is pedantic. So why do I have this enabled then? Ben says, each to their own. I'm developing a game engine, and I've tried making one in Rust, and it was too inflexible. In parentheses, I'm new to building game engines, so building and learning in Rust is hard. So I'm interested, how was it inflexible for you? Did you feel like Rust itself was inflexible? Or did you feel like just the libraries that you're using, if you were even using really substantial library usage, was that the part that was inflexible? He also says, I find in Rust hard to build, will learn. I feel you need to know how to structure it before. Yeah, I do feel like Rust, you have to have, I feel like the way your brain works is definitely different than in something like Python. Like you definitely have to do kind of like type gymnastics in your head. Do I feel like I have to know how to structure it before? I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not the type of person to draw things out. I'm the type of person to just start going. And I think I have intuition about Rust where I can kind of just start going and usually it works. I do agree with you when it comes to like async versus synchronous, right? If you're going to do things async, unfortunately you have the whole coloring problem where if you have async functions, it infects all functions to be async. Unfortunately, this is an issue that people in Rust are working on. And for that matter, in a lot of languages, some languages hide it from you. Java, Go, they both have their little green thread things, which can just automatically, like, the code that looks synchronous will actually not be synchronous when they are called within a green thread context, which I guess is like an all right solution to the problem. I do kind of wonder if it's the right solution for something like Rust, though, where you usually want to know explicitly what's happening, if something is going to be blocking or if it is going to be async. And he says, yes, I find Rust itself is too inflexible, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing, one, you know how to... Yes, which is a good thing. One, you know how to structure your project, but I find it hard to do it beforehand. It sounds like I'm similar to you in terms of plans. Interesting. Do you think, like, what is the... Like, do you have any examples that you have where just like Rust has specifically seemed really inflexible? I'd say for me, I'm not really a C++ programmer, so I don't know C++ that well, but I suppose in languages you can do kind of like duck typing. Like I think like in Go, you can do duck typing. In C++, you can do duck typing with templates. Maybe, like maybe you need to think about things less because you don't need all of these traits. You can kind of just like have things work. Of course, the errors you get are probably a lot worse, I'd imagine. Is that kind of what you're thinking of? Or like, is that a good example of something that you find to be ideal in C++ for like a game dev thing? Or is there a better example? And here, I'm just going to get a little bit more of this. Because I'm really thirsty, so I will be right back in a second. Okay, so yeah, I actually decided to get this here. It's a little bit sweet, but I'm so thirsty right now. So Ben is saying, for example, my game engine, I have a Gengin ref pointer throughout the code base that points to my main singleton that runs the engine. Okay, so Gengin, is that John? Is that John? John, this guy? Somebody needs to make a set called the Gengin set. That'd be pretty awesome. I wonder if it's on Crates.io. Speaking of that, this guy's a legendary guy if you're not familiar with him. This would be so if somebody's spotting this. Oh, yeah, that would be like a legendary name if you were to make a set that was called the Genshin set. But yeah, no, I don't want to be hated, so I definitely wouldn't reserve that. I want to see what this Genshin ref pointer is though, because I don't know what this is. Genshin ref pointer. And is this even related to him? Oh, okay, that's okay. Never mind. I was completely led astray. So Ben is saying Genshin is his game, which I might be completely mispronouncing. So okay, his example is I have a Genshin ref pointer throughout the codebase that points to the main singleton that runs the game engine. The main reason for it is to allow the editor to attach to the game and displays frame buffer. I found it much easier to randomly make my engine structure into a singleton, whereas I couldn't in Rust. Well, you can make it into a singleton. You just need to use like lazy, whatever it's called, lazy sync, I think it's called. It's not in the standard library. It wasn't beforehand, like a year ago, I think. Lazy. Now I'm really my head is not working right now. I think it's called lazy. Is it lazy lock? Lazy lock. Yeah, so you can use this lazy lock, and you can look at this example right here, and you can see this is just a lazy singleton. Now, why does this have a reference to the M3 Ultra? See, I am getting very distracted right now. Static items do not call drop on program termination, so this won't be deallocated. Okay. This is fine, as OS can deallocate the terminated program faster than we can free memory, but tools like Valgrind might report memory leaks as it isn't obvious this is intentional. M3 Ultra takes about 16 million years in the release config. Is this like a joke? Is this a joke that I'm not getting? Look, why is it saying the M3 Ultra takes about 16 million years in the release config? Okay, so I'm looking at what Ben is saying. It was things such as making sure everything was in a certain lifetime that tripped me up. As yeah, there's the borrow checker. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was simply the work was like 4 times. But yeah, lazy is great. Okay, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how lifetimes can be annoying. I've actually had to deal with quite a few annoying lifetimes here, specifically related to like bumped lifetimes. So I actually have to do some really weird hairy stuff where I'll actually show you right now. I have this whole events thing. I need to, again, I'm not in the right repository to do this. I think having 2 IDEs open at two IDEs, it's getting confused. So if we look at this, like we have this whole events thing, and this is a component in our ECS, but we have things that are bump allocated, and all of these events are basically in a vector. Like just think of them all being in a vector that they're drained at the end of each game tick. But it's not really easy to express this in Rust. So I transmuted all of the elements, all of the structs to have a lifetime of static, even though they're not. And then like when I retrieve them from events, I actually make their lifetime smaller to what they should be. So like here's an example, like command. We have this command event, which actually has like the name of the command and like the entity that executed that command. we don't want to do a bunch of allocation here. So when we're reading over IO packets, we can actually get the raw command directly from IO. Like we don't need to we don't need to actually allocate it. We can just reference the bytes that we got from IO. So that's what we're doing in that case. And then we're deallocating all of the IO buffers at the end of each game tick. I love being in San Francisco because there's so many AI ads. Like I can just see like Notion AI, like a giant billboard like all the way over there. I'm kind of doxing myself potentially. I feel like there's probably multiple of them in San Francisco. I feel like Notion AI is like something that's been pushed a lot, but I don't know. Okay. So let's get back on track, because that was a bit of a detour going into all that stuff. Is an enjoyable detour. I think this was working, but I was saying let's use drop, and then I was looking here, and why is this bad? It's pedantic, and it is making me confused why we have pedantic stuff on, or is it, wait. What am I thinking? I think it's, pedantic is actually fine. I think it's restriction. Is it restriction? That is what I don't want. I know one of these lint levels is like unidiomatic rust. I want to say it's restriction. So if I just exit out of all of these, I'm gonna go here. Yeah, like this is what we don't want. So I think we actually want pedantic. Pedantic is good. Let underscore drop. Again, the statement immediately drops. Okay, sure. I agree with this. I mean, I think it is great for other developers to have code that is pretty explicit what is happening, and for other developers not to guess. And this is probably, look, like, is this what makes sense? I'm not sure, but it's fine. I don't want to add an exception for this rule. Because I think you could argue both ways, and I'm not sure what I think. Yeah, I like pedantic ones. They seem to be things that I tend to agree with, for the most part. I couldn't even think of one thing that I don't really agree with. Actually, I can think of one thing. There's only like one thing that I disagree with, which is I think one of the pedantic lints is to change match statements that have Boolean values to if statements, if else statements. And I don't like that. Hello Nathan, how are you? Welcome to my live stream. Okay, so anyway, back to the bot. Okay, it is saying that it is missing the value for max number of bots, which I wonder if this .env is, like, I wonder if this is running this from a different directory than I think it is. Yeah. I'm doing very well, actually. Thank you for asking. I am just trying to get Antithesis working with my server and my bot, and I am trying to... Been a while since we chatted. Been a while since we chatted, haha, yeah. Okay, so anyway, okay, I have two versions of these. I might not have edited the right version. Yeah, so let's go like this, and then I believe if we run this, I think this is gonna work. Okay, awesome. And then we should be able to like print the config, and we should be able to run, and we get the config. Awesome. That's exactly what we want. So let's also use tracing. I think that Antithesis has a tracing capability, but actually, let me look at the Antithesis SDK, Russ. I'm actually very interested. I think in here, what are these things? Set var, short var. Okay. Let's look at. They have some examples in simple. A lot of these things, they are including JSON. And I think this JSON is just to make things human readable. You have these asserts, you have your details. Yeah, because I think the values of these don't actually change how the fuzzer actually behaves. Maybe it looks at identical values. I don't really know. Like these examples, I think could be improved a lot. Has the Rust community settled between tracing and log at this point? So I do use tracing. I feel like most people I know use tracing. Are there people who use log? Absolutely. I mean, IntelliJ Rust, Rust Rover, as it is not called, would actually autocomplete to use the log crate, even when you didn't have the log crate installed. And if you had tracing in cargo.toml. So clearly there are people who use log. I like tracing just because I use the whole tracing ecosystem. I'm not exactly sure if you have like tracing subscriber, how that works with log. But I also do think that tracing perhaps is more efficient from what I understand. But to be honest, I don't really know much at all about log. So if you have an opinion about log and you'd like to like enlighten me, I'm opening to hearing it. But yeah, I do think most people use tracing now, or at least that's kind of like what people should be using. Because I don't know if logs have like spans and stuff. I was working on Swarmbot a while back. That'd be interesting if I actually like integrated this into Swarmbot, but no, I don't think I'm going to, because that code is actually kind of ancient at this point. Yeah, so Swarmbot, for everybody who's watching, I have this project called Swarmbot. And this is Swarmbot here. This is an autonomous bot, and it's also written in Rust. And this was such a good time of my life. Like, this is such a great time of my life. I love this point in my life. I think, well, I was working like 15 hours a day, and I think I was like in a dark room the whole time, but looking back, it was kind of a fun time. Ben is saying, I just remember tracing being more modular. Never saw a massive difference between them. I also think tracing subscriber could get log messages, but memory is fuzzy. I think you're right here in saying that tracing subscriber can get log messages. I just know that like tracing is more tied into tracing subscriber. I mean, tracing subscriber is literally called tracing subscriber, not log subscriber. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm bad with names, to be honest. I think I remember your name, Nathan, but it's been a long time. I'm much better with images. But yeah, this was a fun project, and I actually got it to run in TBTT. I was planning on doing something big with it, but I just got busy. I got a full-time job, and this was really fun to do, right? So this way, actually, I really want Hyperion to actually be used in production. I want this to go somewhere. I don't want it to die. And I think we're really close to getting there now. So I think there's a big potential that this will actually be used around Christmas time, hoping. I didn't say that for the record. I didn't say Christmas time, so please don't hold me accountable if it doesn't happen by Christmas time. But that's my goal in my head is Christmas time. for Hyperion. We have a YouTuber lined up for the proof of concept event, and I will be so happy when this is done, because I mean, who doesn't want to break the world record for the largest PvP event ever? Like, it just sounds so fun and so cool. Okay, so going back here, we have all these asserts and like events and stuff that Antithesis SDK can do, and this whole life cycle thing, I'm not gonna lie, I don't completely understand. Been a while. We have known each other for years, back in One Shot MC. Okay, so for everybody watching, see, I'm just getting further and further back the more this conversation goes on. Yeah, One Shot MC used to be my Minecraft server, and it's actually still running. It's almost 10 years old, but it's not mine anymore. So anything that's happened on it recently is not really, it's not related to me. So I'm just gonna go through this fast. This is the Minecraft server that I used to have. And shout out to Ellis Phillips. Absolutely god tier guy. I mean, this is 7 years ago, but made an amazing trailer for me. Like, you see, like, he spent, I think, like, a crazy amount of time doing this. Like, he even has like a 3D. Like, I actually feel so bad in retrospect for some of this stuff. Like, I was like, hey, how about you make like a random 3D animation of this whole like building coming down? Like, I don't know why, but like, why not? You know, like, wow. I don't, yeah, the good old days, right? Like, I don't understand why I thought you needed to do this, but like, oh, actually god tier trailer making that. I mean, also the builder just did an amazing job. I wish I still had this map somewhere, but frankly, I just don't really know. Ugh. Yeah, that building was so cool. This was, yeah, so like, there used to be these things called Koths, which is King of the Hill in Minecraft. And we had multiple different Koths where you could have your faction and you could get extra points, I think, and maybe it was like on a timer between each Koth, I believe. And this one was really fun because, like, look how far up this spiral staircase goes, and then you could get to the very top, and see, it's fading right now, but like, you could get to the very top, and then you could have like knockback, and you could just knock people all the way off, and they would just get completely screwed. But that was like the plan. And then I think there are people who had like anti-knockback enchantments because I had custom enchantments and everything. Gosh, I spent so much time. I spent so much time on this. Oh, it was sad. It was sad that I was getting like DDoSed for, I think, like 30 hours straight. And then there were also issues with, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from launching this server. Like, this was kind of an offshoot of my main server that I had this, but yeah, I spent so much time when I was like 16 years old, 16, 17 years old, doing this. And I mean, yeah, it was super fun, but unfortunately, like, I had a beta test, and I think I didn't incentivize people to report bugs as well. So there were a lot of people who found bugs and didn't report them, and then they're just, oh, there are a lot of issues. I still am so happy I did it, but there were like a lot of issues. I think if I had a V2, I could have just made the absolute most, you know, exciting map in existence, right? But you know, that takes time, and I didn't really have time to do all of that. I don't know what I was really doing. Was I just busy with school? I think I was busy with like robotics or something, because I was on the robotics team. So that's probably what happened. Okay. Yeah, I'll look at Discord in a second. But yeah, this was also probably like a pretty good time. This is like the one time that you can get London Eastern time and Australia. It's like 5 p.m. Eastern, right? So kind of interesting. I think we aren't going to care about Australia as much for this event, unfortunately, unless people really convince me. If a lot of people really love Australia, actually, the YouTuber I am doing this with is from Australia, so maybe they'll convince. Maybe maybe I'll be convinced to do this whole like 7 a.m. Australia, 10 p.m. London, 5 p.m. Eastern schedule. But I'm thinking more we'd have like a noon, or maybe not noon. Maybe noon is too early. Maybe we'd have like one. Let me think. Maybe we'd have like a 1 p.m. like Eastern or something, and then that would be like 5 p.m. London or so, or 6 p.m. London. I think that's going to be a lot better. Okay. Yeah, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. EST is prime. Okay, let's see this. Oh yeah, I know who you are. Awesome. Yeah, I know exactly who you are. I'm just bad with names. Okay. Here, I'm just gonna mark this as red. I don't want to release any personal information if there's anything in here, so I'm marking it as red, but I will potentially read it later if there's anything useful there. I need to figure out what this setup complete thing is in antithesis. So it indicates antithesis that setup has completed. Call this function when your system and workload are fully initialized. After this function is called, antithesis will take a snapshot of your system and begin injecting faults. Calling this function multiple times or for multiple processes will have no effect. Antithesis will treat the first time any process called this function as the moment that setup was completed. Okay, so I'm trying to think exactly how we want this to go, right? Do you want to wait until the bots join? Did you set up complete? Or would we just do this initially? Because like we want to test the case where bots have the same identical name and they can't join, right? So, I think we just do this initially, but I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong, honestly. I wish this had more documentation for this value here, because, and let's see if I can open this up, if I can get any information on life cycle. This might be a Go reference. Yeah, this is a Golang reference. Then it has this whole details thing. So both functions take the parameter details optional. Optional additional information provided by user to add context for assertion failures. The information that is logged will appear in the logs. Okay, normally values. Okay, so this is send event. I'm trying to look at setup complete. Okay, setup complete. Does it talk about details? I mean, I think it's also going to add context. It's probably not going to add that much. Like, I guess probably what I would have in context here is I would have, probably what I would have in context here is just like the environmental variable, I'm guessing. Also, I feel like this could be improved a little bit. I think this should use generics, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think this should use yeah, I think this should use generics. Let me post a message in antithesis asking what they think about this. Just being able to pass in any sturdy struct I think could make sense here. And for the other ones as well that follow kind of the same workflow. Thoughts on using generics for any sturdy similar locations. Okay. Okay, let me read the messages I've been getting in live stream. So Ben says, Hyperion seems awesome, to be honest. I remember you offering to let me contribute, but I wasn't sure what to contribute to. How do you plan to get players? Yeah, so we have a YouTuber. We have a YouTuber who is going to get us players. I think when you give people the option to get a world record, and when it hasn't been possible before, just from a technology perspective, there's a lot of people who are interested in that. Like, that's a really big clickbait title. It's also a cool title. I mean, it's not just, like, I feel when you say clickbait, it implies that it's not actually as cool as it really is. But this, I feel it really is as cool as, you know, the title is. So it's not like baiting you to click. Like, it's just like a cool thing, right? Or maybe it's like, it's not like bait and switch is what I'm trying to say, right? Let's see. Is something considered clickbait if it is bait in the sense it is a good title, but there is no bait and switch? Okay, if a title is attention grabbing but doesn't mislead the reader about the content, it's generally not considered clickbait in the negative sense. Clickbait traditionally implies a bait and switch tactic where the title makes a sensational or misleading promise that the content doesn't fulfill. If a title is engaging and accurately reflects the article's content, it can be considered good marketing or a well-crafted headline. In other words, a compelling title that genuinely represents the substance of the article is usually just effective titling, not clickbait. Clickbait only applies when there's an element of deception. Okay. Makes sense. But yeah, anyway, so like we have that. Like I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that we can get 10,000 players unless I just like completely massively fuck up this proof of concept. Or like I die or something, or let's just say every Minecrafter just gets exposed for, you know, doing stuff they shouldn't, and then all of a sudden there's like 0 Minecraft YouTubers, right? Which you never know, right? Because there do seem to be a lot of scandals recently with a lot of people, but I don't want to get into that here. Am I planning on monetizing it at all in the future? So this is open source. This is Apache license. You can see Apache 2.0 license, which you can think of as very similar to MIT license, except it protects you slightly more if you're using this. It protects against people who are patent trolls. So people who might use the software, but then they are like trying to make patents or something to just screw people over, and it does such. And again, I'm not a lawyer, don't take this as legal advice, but it does so by making sure that if you are using the software, you cannot file like patents against people who are using the software, like while still using it. So you have to choose one or the other. And I tend to, my current belief is it probably makes more sense to be Apache than MIT. But if somebody wants to argue the other way, I would be interested in listening. But yeah, it's Apache for now. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of monetizing this, right? Because it's open source, how am I going to do that? Well, there are a lot of modules I have. First of all, I don't even know if I'm going to monetize this. To be honest, I think this is a really cool record, but like I think I want to, I like spending my time in the real world, right? Like touching grass, affecting people in the real world rather than just a video game as well. And I don't want to get locked into this. So we'll see, but there are potential areas we can monetize. There are some areas that are really geared towards large events that I don't have in this repository. For instance, I have simple voice chat, which is a proximity voice chat in Minecraft, and I don't have it in this repository. It's actually an extension in a private repository. So there's a lot of things like that where I could have a lot of features in here that people could build their own stuff, and just a bunch of proprietary add-ons that if you don't want to make yourself, you can use mine, but you would have to pay for a license. I think this would be reasonable. So could you go through very quickly what to contribute to and how in the repository? Yeah, so let me, I'm trying to think where I want to start here. I'd say the first thing to look at is this contributing.md that I've been working on a little bit. A lot of this stuff is just not important here. It's just my IDEs and tools I use. This is not important. This is really where we start getting to important stuff. So we use this packet inspector thing. So just when it comes to like developing and debugging, Valence is a great project. You can have this as a proxy, and you can join this URL here, and it gets proxied to the actual server URL, and it will show you all the packets. This is super useful. There's also flex.dev, this explorer thing, and this is not actually this is obviously not my Minecraft server here, but if I were running the Minecraft server, this allows you to see like every single entity and like all the components, and you can actually change the values for a lot of these. So if I were to like make this like, see, I can actually change things, which is really, really cool. And I can do this in Minecraft. So I could change like the position of players just from this. And it uses reflection to do so. And again, it's good for debugging because you can see like, you can check a lot of values. I think this was 0 before. But yeah, you can see I'm using that here, and I can see like my name, and I can see like my yaw pitch, all this stuff. And you'll be able to see if you have all of these modules, which are, just think of them as plugins, as Bevy plugins. If you've used Bevy ECS, you'll be able to see all the components from all of them. Let me think. Yeah, and this does seem somewhat, I don't know, to look into this. Anyway, okay, so there's those two things. There's also Tracy. Tracy is this thing. You can look at, it's for profiling and looking at traces. You can see like what's happening on every thread. This is also really useful for debugging. Also for debugging performance issues, you know, because you can see exactly the systems that are running, how many threads they're running in, what is happening. It's rather useful. And then there's, you know, other things I recommend, especially if you're new to Minecraft protocol, using a tool that you can put the whole protocol into a large language model to ask for which packet you should use. Tends to be pretty nice. Yeah, and then I'm guessing you're already in the Discord, so that's a lot of helpful tools for actually picking up issues. I have this giant issues list in Hyperion, so especially if something is prio, I would do it. I wouldn't do this one. I think, can I, no, I don't want to assign it to myself. I can only assign it to, can I only assign it to people in this repository? I wouldn't do this one. Somebody's already working on this. What's his name? Cause I'm Clicks is already working on this, I believe. So let me make sure this is assigned to him. Cause I'm Clicks. Yeah, it looks like I can only assign people who are added to this repository officially, unfortunately. But yeah, I would go in here. I would see like what's up. And some of these are maybe not the most important. There's also a linear page. And this, I can add you to this too. This has kind of the stuff which is like in the backlog, which is not prioritized, and the stuff which is actually rather important. So I would go through that. If you have a mic, I would maybe do like a voice call with me for a little bit. I can go over the code. And yeah, I would, if I'm just going over the structure really quickly, we have a bunch of these crates. Hyperion is where all the core is. And then our actual event is in this proof of concept crate. So in events, proof of concept, this is where the event is. The idea is the event will combine all of these modules, many of them which are defined in other crates, to actually create this proof of concept event. If you want to run this, I have this just file. You should be able to do, but this is changing. I honestly don't know if this even works anymore, but you should be able to just do cargo run. And let's go up here. You should be able to do cargo run proof of concept, which is the proof of concept event. And then you should be able to do cargo run for the proxy. And then here, let me actually do this. I don't know. Oh, it's because I'm in this, I think. Yeah, so you need to run both of these at once, and then you should be able to join on 25565. Again, you can look at the architecture. The architecture is up here. And you have the whole, this is the whole game server, which is the, which is the, what am I calling it? The proof of concept event. And then I have all of the proxies, which can potentially be horizontally scaled. Right now I just have one of them, but they can be horizontally scaled super easily, and I'll be doing that eventually. And then you join, and then you can, you can do all this stuff. It's all nice and dandy. And then you can also test it with bots, so it's probably a good idea a lot of the time, just to make sure that, everything's not horribly laggy, to have a bunch of bots. I believe I'm running this in, I may or may not be running this in release mode right now. But yeah, like, testing on this is useful. You can see if I go far away, it should kind of freeze, because there's a max render distance where I'm sending packets. It's the same thing with chat, although things can be globally broadcast. And you can, just want to show you, like, you can break blocks, and that works. And then you can also place blocks, and there's other various commands, but again, I would go on a voice call with me if you really kind of want to understand things. I would look at the issues page. I will try to clean that up for you or anybody else who is interested in contributing after this live stream. So like after this live stream, I will clean the issues up. And like, you even have the Salesforce tower, kind of cool. Yeah, I've definitely seen this. Is it from here I've seen it? Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen this before. When I was around New York, I used to live actually in Chelsea, Manhattan, which I think this might just include. This is like Midtown Manhattan, and Chelsea is Midtown, so could be like over here or something. I don't even know. I don't really know. Unfortunately, I'm not a pro at this. But yeah, that's more or less how to run it. One more thing that I kind of forgot to mention is, if I go in here, there should be this config.toml, and you can change these parameters here. Some of these don't really do anything, but like view distance does. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. for you. Yeah, it's actually getting pretty late for me too. I don't know how long I'm going to be working on this. I think this is probably like a multiple. I was in my head, I'm like, I'm going to get a bot working in one live stream, but I think this is going to be a few live streams, honestly, at this point. I don't think I have tracing, or I do. It's just not loaded. Let's see, tracing. Okay, is this gonna show right now? Okay, and then let's also use tracing subscriber. Tracing subscriber. And if we do this, I believe if we're going to reload this, we should be able to run this and we should see the config. And yeah, it's because, so let's actually export this variable because this seems to keep on looking at the project root directory, like at the git project root directory. So let's uppercase this. Let's go like this. Let's remove it. Let's go like this because I don't think this is even gonna change anything. I think we need to change it here. Is that gonna even do anything? Okay, so that ran. Not getting the tracing info, unfortunately. Let's just add a printout. This printout should be there. Okay, so I always get confused here. Yeah, I'd love to work on this with you as well, Ben. Yeah, no, it's all good. Don't mind about sidetracking me. It's like is my Rust log not set to... See, I always run into this problem like every single time I do anything with tracing. Rust log. Let's just set it to trace, which is... Oh, I cannot type. Rust log trace. Okay. I mean, that's good. I think it's just not setting the... I think there's no default. Or I think the default is maybe Warren in this case. Yeah, I believe it is Warren. So it won't show any info. It will just show Warren errors. Okay, cool. So this is nice. And maybe we can just go like this. Maybe this is the best way. Showing the config. Max number of bots is 10. Okay, so this is great, and this is like the most simple program ever so far. I'm trying to think. What do you want here? I think like let's actually kind of ignore this max number right now, and let's always do 2. So like for in 02, we'd get name equals, I don't know what this is, antithesis range. I think we need to add rand. I think this is the issue here. We need to add rand. And then I think we'll be nice and dandy. Potentially. Yeah, okay. So maybe in the future, it should be re-exported. Rand should be re-exported. Let me actually make this as an issue here. Re-export. Great. Okay, and it looks like it's in the right repository. And gen is going to be changed to, I think .random. I don't know why it's not suggesting me using .random. But yeah, this is gonna change in Rust version 2024 because gen will be a reserved keyword. And I don't think we can do a string. And I don't know if Clippy is disabled or what. What is up? Yeah, but it should be giving me a warning right now. I'd imagine. And I think even a string isn't going to work, but probably a character will. Yeah, and it's also recommending... Yeah, okay. So then if we do character, it should work. Okay. Cool, and it's also saying that this could be a reference, sure. Okay, so let's look back here to the wiki, the wonderful wiki of WikiPG. Okay, so we need our little login. Is there anything before? I think there's a handshake. Handshake. Okay, so this is what we really care about here. So we have this handshake client to server handshake with next data login. So this handshake, and I think we can just use Valence for all this stuff. Valence proto. Valence protocol. Okay. Let's reload this. And I don't think we really care about making this super efficient. Packets. Let's import this. Play. Or this is going to be handshake. Handshaking, client to server. And then what are our IDs? We're going to want to get the login. I think we also want a function to be able to get the status of the server. So this could be the player count. And we want to do this just to verify that if the bots can actually join, that they're both registered as being in the server. I'll be right back. I want to just get like a little bit more to drink. Okay, I'm back. And let me look at the time really quickly. I want to see how long I've been streaming for. Okay. Cool, looks like it has been about almost 2 hours. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's program this. So I'm thinking we're gonna generate we're gonna have two bots join. We're gonna generate a name. Generate name. Mod. Again, I might change up the structure a little bit. Generate name. So maybe we could just call this generate. So let's length. And I think maybe this will be mute. No, we can just do this. I'm just debating, like, if things change in the future. So can we do something like this? Is this gonna work? So length is between 0 and let's just say 20. Okay, so then I need to look at the protocol again. I guess name isn't even really important for the handshake, but it will be important shortly. Login start encryption request. I think it's just login start packet. So it's max 16 characters. So name is max 16 characters. And I think this should generate two things. So name value is valid. Is this, there's no way this is a, this might be an extension function. Okay. So this is not always going to be This is not always going to be true. And I'm gonna play one more song. I think I'm gonna play one more mix, and then we're gonna call it a night. I actually really love Damdala, so I think we're gonna be playing Damdala. Actually, should I play Malpi or Damdala? Does anybody have a preference? I'm trying to think which one has more lyrics. I think they both have quite a few. Let's see. Let's do this one. I definitely like AC Slater, or sorry, I definitely like Damdala more than Malpi, I think, but we're gonna start with this one. Let me know if it's too loud too. I think it's very possible this will be like way too loud, and you won't be able to hear me. Okay. So we're gonna go into cursor, and it should be right where we want it to be. It looks like it is not, unfortunately. Let me hope this is gonna connect. Connected. Now. Okay, there we go. Starting with a number. Can it start with a number? Maybe it can start with a number. All right. I just want to see if there's anything in here. Enables all performance-related features. Is this default perf? I mean, does it really matter? Are we really caring? We might be caring too much. Okay, it can be computationally intensive. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right option, but I'm gonna do it. I mean, I doubt it's really gonna matter, but why not? Now, I'm wondering if I should have code shared between the bot and the game server, like for validation here, right? Okay, that's here. I'm gonna play the Dubdala EDC 2024. I really wish I was here at EDC 2023. I love Dubdala though. Okay. So what name is gonna be equals generate.
Yo, how we feeling, ADC?
Is this gonna be an issue? This might be an issue. Kind of like shadowing. I don't know.
I got some new music for you guys tonight.
I saw you look to him, and him look back at you. I felt the pain, I went insane, and knew there's not much I could do. I saw him look at me, but then I looked to you. Just grab my hand, he'll understand. That stands like 1992. Girls, don't need nobody, 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 girls, don't need nobody.
I think we might have to do some life cycle here. Use life cycle. Can I say something here? Okay, have fun, Ben. Oh, name is private. Makes sense. Is this gonna work? And then do you need to reload? I think we might need to be able to do the reverse. Did not do that. Or maybe it's because I forgot to delete the old one. I think I might need to do it here. Okay, so I think we're gonna need to have like a lot of logic here. So, like, if the name is invalid, then when we join, we should get disconnected. So I think that's something we can test. We can also test that the player count after we disconnect is going to be the number of valid players.
Cause I'm thinking about you. But you're
Actually, like, no matter if the names match or not, they should. Like, we shouldn't. It's not relevant to the test passing or not. It's just if either of them is invalid. But we're not going to want to do this. We're going to want to do something like... This is not going to be secure, but we're all good. Actually, I don't know if it even wants us to be able to do this. Okay. I mean, I figured it was something like that, honestly. Or maybe it's just range. Here, I'll be right back.
For the latest to figure, you know. I was picking up all the pieces, you know. We got better perspective on the past.
EDC, make some fucking noise for yourselves. You guys look amazing. It's so good to be back. These flags are fucking hilarious. I love it.
We got some work to do.
Irregular force applied in every direction.
Okay, let's see if this is an issue. Like this. I guess that works. Okay, I don't know why it thinks you can remove that, but I think we even need to check this. Like, I wonder if we have to check all of these. Like, do we need to check all of these? Like, should we coax the fuzzer to more likely generate the same UID? I'm not really sure. First UID. Then I think I need to add this. And how are they using this? I think this is like the error message. Or okay, there. Tokyo. There we go. I kind of want to add a primitive. Is primitive the right word? I want to add like a random primitive, I guess. I don't know. And maybe I'll move this to a separate grid at some point. Do I have util? Okay. I can never remember if I name things util or utils. I have util. Okay, cool. That's one of the best parts of the mix. Can this be FN1s? Okay, they're the same. Awesome.
Give it to me, EDC.
See, this gets into an interesting territory where it's like, I don't know what to think because the valent protocol struct definitions really want us to use server addresses that are bounded correctly. So like, and how does this work if it's over? Yeah. See, it would panic. See, this is going to get really annoying really fast because we want invalid data in some cases. I'm gonna just think how we want to do this. We probably have like a generic parameter for checking. Or maybe we'd add like a context here and encode. Like should check. I'm just trying to think. No, I think it's gonna, we'd want generic because the error would be parameterized, and I'm also like based on the whether we have an error or not would be parameterized based on the type of context we want. Like if we want it to not check, then I think we'd always want the resulting error, or we'd often want the resulting error to be the never type, the exclamation point. Where if we wanted it to be checked, then sometimes we would have it as not the never type. I'll be right back. Yeah, I think we're gonna want to redo a lot of this stuff. This is gonna be a massive undertaking. 6:46. What is my cutoff gonna be? I mean, like, I feel like I can work for a while longer, but maybe I'll take a break for a little bit. I'm debating. But then, like, what will I even do for my break? I'm kind of unsure. Let me see if anybody's watching right now. Okay, I mean, we have 2 people watching. I want to see how my face looks like if I turn off the lights. Yeah, I can't turn the ones off behind me. So now the question is, should I finish this or should I go out? Because this just seems like a massive undertaking, or like, what should I do? Should I take a break? Because I could definitely work on this tomorrow potentially, and maybe get this done. Yeah, maybe I'll end the live stream and then I'll work on this more later. I think again, like the big thing that needs to be done is being able to generate these packets, and actually even more than this, like, like what would be really cool is if we had like arbitrary packet and we did packets, handshaking, arbitrary, something like this. And then we could say like, although like, see, there's a lot of checks, which is like, do we even want to have here? Because like, if the server address is wrong, what happens? Like, are we expecting, I mean, it's not like an attack surface. I don't think it would be an attack surface, right? I mean, we wouldn't want the server to crash if we put the wrong server address, but it's like not an attack surface. I don't think. Like assuming the server doesn't crash, which it shouldn't. Like, I don't understand how it would possibly crash. Handshake.
How we feeling, Vegas?
We are all consumed by the digital dream. Hardwired and transfixed by a broken machine. Our minds are trapped, have become overrun, clouded with illusion, zeros and ones, far from an existence that once strived for an advanced future.
So I am curious if I go into Claude. Let's go here. In your opinion, what is the purpose of the... Oh yeah, I suppose it could be useful for like reverse proxies, that's right. Or if you have a reverse proxy and still want to get the information. Yeah.
Like resignation to the end, always the end. So when we found that we could not make sense, well, you said that we would still be friends. But I'll admit that I was glad it was over.
I mean, this stuff doesn't seem important.
She didn't have to cut me off.
Yeah, I think I think I'm getting brain dead. I think I can't do this anymore. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head off, but anyway. Hopefully I can finish this up tomorrow. I think I'll live stream again tomorrow, maybe even later today. I'm not sure, it's getting pretty late. Overall I didn't really get much done today, so hopefully I can get more done next time. We'll see. Alright, well, thank you